What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and in today's video I've got two main concepts that I want to cover. Number one, the stocks to be watching for tomorrow, because we've got some other potential short squeezes on the horizon. And then there's also obviously the stocks that I love to day trade in terms of looking for those dip buys, looking for those little breakouts. So I want to be talking about that, what you guys should be watching for tomorrow, because it's an interesting market, man, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of opportunities, a lot of ways that you guys can cash in. And then the second thing that I wanna talk about are these specific patterns.
Second thing that I wanna talk about is these specific, I don't know the grammar for that. Maybe one of you guys can help me out. I'm not a grammar teacher, but
the second thing to talk about is the fact that there are several patterns intraday that I don't think I've really discussed in the past, and I want to discuss them so you guys can be looking for them and take advantage of them and make some money off of them. Because if you can recognize these patterns before they happen, you get a nice little pop-up, and it's pretty nice. So I'm gonna talk about those two things, and hopefully this should prepare you guys for the stock market on Monday and allow you to make some more money. So if you find this video helpful, please remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you have not already, and turn on the post notifications. And yeah, let's dive into my computer. All right, guys, so I'm here at my computer, and I'm actually gonna start off by talking about the patterns first, because they actually, you know, are a little bit easier to talk about, and they go hand in hand with the first stock that I want you guys to be watching, because it has a lot of really good intraday patterns. So in addition to the dip buys that I always talk about, you know, you see a ton of red candles in a row, that's typically a good entry point. We haven't really seen a huge panic. I guess we didn't see one on Friday. Friday in general was really choppy and really slow overall. The overall markets were down a lot, but there were no huge panics that we could take advantage of for a dip buy. So because of that, I was really just scalping things and taking a little bit here, a little bit there. And that's the beauty of having limited margin. You can see I traded $58,000 worth of stock on this account, and I only have like $13,000 worth of buying power. So before, if I used my buying power, I had to wait, you know, 2 days to get that back. And now I instantly get it back, which is really nice for taking positions. So get over $25,000 is the number one goal if you're a day trader, and then turn it into a margin, or if it's a Roth IRA, a limited margin account. And because of that, you can take advantage of these two patterns. So the first one that I want to talk about is the whole cent break on these OTC stocks. And this is what I'm looking for. So if you missed the entry here, on this dip buy after a ton of red candles, you can see here right at this 13-cent mark is where it bounced off the first time, and it bounces off these lows, it double bottoms here, and it comes back up, and it's right there at 13 cents. I would look to buy this breakout, because if it breaks out over this 13-cent mark, and typically how you would know it's going to do that is you see it starts printing a ton of green, which means they're whacking away at the ask at the exact 13-cent mark, which means there's a seller at the 13-cent mark, there's a ton of buyers buying at the 13-cent mark, and if it pops over that mark, typically it sees a nice little pop within the 1 minute candle. So within 10 seconds after breaking the 13-cent mark, it could be at, you know, 13.5. And that instant pop, normally I will sell half into that instant pop, make sure I get some profit on the trade already in case it fails and breaks back down. But you can see in this case, it pops up, you know, tries to go a little bit higher, and then fails all the way back down, but doesn't break under the 13-cent mark, bounces off the 13-cent mark, so that previous resistance level is now the new support level, and then from there, it goes on to bounce and run. And on choppy days like this, I might just take all the profit, you know? I might not let this fall back down to 13 cents and risk having it break under on me, so I might take all the profit and, you know, be willing to miss out on this. But here's what happens, right? You see it bounce through, now it's testing this 14-cent mark. I see it print in this 14-cent mark, and I end up getting here at the break of this one as well. I see it print in 14 cents, and I buy right in. Pop, it pops right over. You get an instant pop up to 15 cents. I sell into this pop, sell half, and then I see it starting to top here, and I sell the rest in here. And again, you don't have to trade a ton of size on these, because it really just adds up if you make these little trades over time. If you can make 5% a day on your positions, multiply that over 200 trading days in a year. I forget exactly if that's accurate. Maybe there's a little bit more, maybe a little less, but that is a really good return on investment. So you don't have to get anything crazy. You don't need 50% returns on one trade like that. These little gains really add up. So definitely look for that. I love doing these intraday trades, especially on slow days, these little 1 cent breakouts. it's a really good way of getting profit like this, even when there's no A-grade opportunities. And again, this is not an A-grade opportunity because it could print 14 cents a ton, but there's a reserve seller, which means he's hiding his size, or she's hiding her size, and they could be selling 1 million shares, but only show that they're selling 5,000 shares. So you might think it's going to break through, but eventually the buying power can't break through because there's someone selling 1 million shares, and it just fades on back down, or it cracks immediately. And you need to be willing to cut immediately if it can't break through. So just know that going in. And now let me delete these lines so I can talk about the second of the two patterns that I want you guys to look for. And the second of the two patterns is entering when you see the break of a downtrend. And this is a very important concept because it gives really good intraday entries, if that makes sense. So you can see it holds this line pretty darn well. I wish maybe I can drag this down a little bit. See if I can drag this down. Yeah, there we go. All right, just want to get this line perfect for you guys. Move it up a tiny bit. So you can see in general, I mean, it's holding this downtrend pretty darn well. You know, it starts here, fades down, pops back up, fades down, pops back up. Can't really break through the line, fades down, pops back up, bounces off the line again. And this is very typical, you know. Same kind of thing here on the uptrend. You could draw an uptrending line here. And as soon as it breaks that uptrend, there's a big sell-off. So typically when these I guess uptrends and downtrends intersect, that is where you want to enter. And in this case, that's what happened. And I ended up buying right here as well because I saw that it broke out and it was just kind of chilling, if that makes sense. So let me zoom in so you guys can see that a little bit better. I guess that's not that much better. But you can see here, like, it broke down and then it broke out over this downtrend line. And in this area right here, it's really not doing too much. You can see, I mean, it's really not moving that much. So how did I know to enter here? Well, again, it stopped breaking down. And normally, if there's going to be a rejection of the downtrend line, you'll see it pop over for a 1 minute candle, and then it will shoot hard back under. So that's what's typical. And again, this kind of depends on where your line is drawn. So, you know, if you adjust the starting point of the line, it can affect that a little bit. So you definitely have to have a little bit of patience here. But in general, it's a pretty good rule to follow. Because once it breaks out over that area, again, this could not hold out over that area. But you can see here, I mean, this holds over the break of the downtrend. So, I mean, you could hop in here. That's a decent entry as well. But honestly, I got in right here. And I'm risking it fading back down under the downtrend. So if it rejects and starts fading down again, if I see a big red candle, I'm out instantly. I'm instantly out. I'm not letting this fade away on me. But it has really good risk to reward because once it breaks the downtrend, people see that it breaks the downtrend and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So because of that, it pops up. You get this pop from, you can enter, you know, around 13 cents, maybe a little bit over 13 cents. And it pops all the way up and nearly goes to 15 cents in a pretty straight run, which is a nice trade. So again, be looking for these in the intraday entries. And if you were here, if you were long this stock holding from here, again, look, once it breaks that uptrend, there's an immediate sell-off. There's an immediate sell-off. A huge sell-off. Because it's holding this uptrend every time. It bounces off that uptrend line. And once it breaks through there, it cracks. So you just need to be aware. Like if you're getting in at the uptrend line, it's either going to bounce or it's going to crack hard. And you need to be able to cut your losses extremely quickly and admit that you're wrong if you're wrong. Now, I personally, OZSC, I would not be surprised to see this gap up because it held its gains pretty decently. It was up 30%, you know, by the close. And typically, the first green day on an OTC stock sees a little bit of a gap up. And we've seen a huge pullback from the top at 27 cents. I think this could be a decent swing trade. It's just not something I'm willing to park my money into. I've heard, you know, price targets of 50 cents from people. I don't know if it's going to hit that. Maybe it does. Maybe it does not. But for me, this just provides too many good intraday day trading setups for me to want to hold. And yeah, I'm totally fine with missing out on the entire run from whatever, 15 cents all the way up to 50 cents. But you need to be ready in case this thing does what we think it's going to do. Because if it gaps up, you could easily see a panic off the gap up and then a bounce and continue to run. That's not uncommon at all. So I'm going to be looking for everything that I've talked about on this stock. Everything I've talked about. If I see a ton of red candles, it's a good entry, man. You see a ton of red candles right here at the uptrend, that's a decent entry right there. Cutting if it breaks below. And be willing to admit that you're wrong. That is the most important thing about day trading. And yeah, this one is great, man. Again, you can see I made $364 just trading these tiny little moves on Friday. And if we get some panic dip buys, I'm going to be going in with more size and might see 1,000 profit on this one ticker. So we'll see. Have to see how it goes. But I'm definitely excited to see what this brings. AITX, this is another one. It's just really good for intraday trading. So again, the same thing. You see the break of these whole cent areas, especially 10 cents. That's a super important one, obviously, because, 100 is the completion, whatever. Break of 10 cents. You get in for the break of 10 cents, and I mean, that's a nice little pop. That's all you got to do. Don't overthink it. Take your profits when you have them on a slow, choppy day, and don't overthink it. This is probably going to see some more panic dip buys. I mean, we've seen a ton of really good ones on this stock. So just be ready for that. Watching this stock. Definitely big on the watch list. AMC, this is one that I've heard a lot of whisperings about. And again, this, obviously, if you haven't done your research, do your research on this, but this is kind of like a GameStop sympathy play, if that makes sense. And I've heard there's potentially going to be another big move in this stock on Monday. And I've heard some $100 price targets by Thursday. I don't know if I buy into that. I probably will not be trading this because I don't think the risk to reward is worth it for me. But if you guys feel comfortable with it, you want to throw something in there and see where it goes, go for it. BLIAQ. This is one that this is just, it's just the dying retailer pump fest, if that makes sense. This is Blockbuster Video. This is a bankrupt company, and look how much it's up, man. I don't even know, like over 1,000%. I mean, it went from 0.0033 all the way up to 30 cents. That's insane. It's seen a big pullback, and it's kind of gross, but when you see a couple red days in a row, if everything goes crazy, if GameStop, AMC goes crazy, this could probably see another spike, and this is the type of thing that, you could buy in for the break of 10 cents. If you want to do that and just be willing to cut immediately if it goes against you. So I don't know that I'll trade this one, but I just want to throw it on your radar because it's funny. I can't even trade this one. If I go here, you can see this is how you know if you could trade a stock on Fidelity, by the way. If it has a stop sign or a death sign, you are not allowed to trade it. If it's just a normal pink sheet that doesn't have any of that, then you're fine to trade it. So I cannot trade this one because it has a skull and crossbones. But if you want to trade it, trade a bankrupt company, absolutely go for it. Completely up to you guys. Just want to put on your radar. BMIX, this is another one that had some really good intraday dip buys. This, not yesterday, but just in general, it's been having a lot. So it needs to stay on the watch list. Again, that was a really good dip buy there. But you can see it's had, 4 red days in a row. So I would not be surprised to see this have a green day on Monday. It could keep fading off, obviously. It just went straight up. So it hasn't really found a bottom yet, but maybe that 2.5 cent area is the bottom. So I could see this, having a nice little pop-up. It's pretty beaten down, so we'll see what happens. If it has a nice pop-up, I'd be willing to buy for whole cent breaks, maybe a break of 4 cents, maybe a break of 5 cents. Or if it can spike up and see a panic, that would be even better. So that's what I'm looking for on this stock, but definitely keep it on your watch list because it has the volatility that we need to make money as day traders. Again, from nothing all the way up to from nothing to 10 cents in a couple of days. So I love to see that. Definitely on the watch list. BRQS. This is one that spiked up after hours. And again, if it spikes up in after hours, you guys need to keep it on your watch list because it's probably going to be doing something in pre-market. But we just need to see what it does in pre-market. So keep it on your watch list. Not sure what it's going to do, but we know it has the potential to spike by looking at this chart, man. So, if it can go from 135 all the way up to 785 in one day, that's the type of stock that you want to be trading. And there was really no volume on this day. So if we get a lot of volume, this thing has the potential to really run. So keep that in mind. CYDY. This is a stock that I've heard a lot about on Reddit and just wanted to put on your guys' radar. If you go look at the chart here, it looks like it has some decent support in this area around that 420, 440 area. So if this thing rips past those highs at $7, it could probably go on a nice little run. And just to show you what I'm talking about, CYDY, this is the Reddit community for CYDY, not a ton of members. I think they might have also talked about it on Wall Street Bets. But there's a lot of people talking about it, primed to explode, etc. I'm not going to dive into the due diligence of this stock because I typically don't believe in stocks. I just don't. I'm very skeptical in general, but maybe this is a great stock to invest in long term. Just want to put on your radar. I would probably only be day trading this myself, just me personally. But yeah, this is actually, they were complaining that they think Tim Sykes caused this thing to tank. Look at that beautiful panic, man. This is from June 30th. That is the perfect morning panic. And no, I guess that was an intraday panic. Yeah, that was an intraday panic. This is an A+ grade setup. I would throw $20,000 right there at the bottom. I would have no issue with that. That is a beautiful trade. So if we know it has the potential to do this, it needs to stay on the watch list. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all there is on this one. CYDY, DPLS. This is another one. If you go look at this chart here, it's up a lot. And it's trying to fade, but it really is unable to fade a ton. So dip buys on this one, probably, or if it breaks out past those highs, consider looking at it. But you can see, you know, it's a little bit dangerous if it breaks out and then fails. So you need to be willing to cut. But it has a lot of volatility, and all of the patterns that I've talked about, I will be looking for on this stock as well. So keep it on your watch list. FUBO, I made a whole video dedicated to this stock. That's my last video that I made before this, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. I think we can see some good things from this stock. A lot of short interest on this stock, and potentially if it breaks out past these 62 highs, it could be hitting $100. I'm not taking anything for granted. I personally would not just buy and hold this blindly and just let it run forever. But I mean, if you have a decent risk level, you know, feel free to see where this thing goes, because I think it could have a nice little squeeze. GTLL, this is another one I've heard a lot of whisperings about in Twitter specifically. So I just want to put on your guys' radar. It's had a nice little pullback, you know, off of that, I guess, 1 cent area. Couldn't break past 1 cent. So again, once it breaks past 1 cent, this thing is probably going to run really hard in that specific day that it breaks 1 cent. So be looking for that. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all there is on this one. I personally don't think this is the next Apple. I haven't done my research on this company, but it's worth looking into for a day trade, and just wanted to point it out to you guys. MITI, we have the first location of the Good Clinic opening on Monday, opening tomorrow, and it's very exciting. I'm not sure if we'll get a press release about it, because this company really, they don't put out fluff news. They really don't. You know, I was thinking about it. They don't really put out fluff news. So they already made a press release saying that it was going to open on Monday. So now when Monday happens, I don't know if they're going to put out another press release saying that it opened. So that could not happen. And if it doesn't happen, you know, maybe we'll just see some more consolidation until we actually get some more news. And again, I am holding this one for the long run. If it sees a big tank, anything under 30 cents, I'm throwing at least $10,000 at this stock. And if it you know, fades in the mid 30s, I'll probably add some. Otherwise, I'm totally fine with what I have. I think this is going dollars soon. You know, next time we get news, maybe it could run past that. And the $1 mark is going to be an important psychological barrier. Obviously, $1, 100, same thing with 10 cents, same thing with 1 cent. So once it breaks that area, we could potentially see some momentum traders hopping on this thing. This is a fundamental investment. Absolutely. I love the management team. I love everything about this. I have many videos on the stock. Go watch them if you have not already. OZSC, already talked about that. PHUN, sorry, I'm going to try to make this quick because I know it's getting kind of long. PHUN, this is one that we really saw pop off in after hours as well, spiking up right into close, held its gains very nicely. So have to see what this does in pre-market, but I mean, that's kind of a gross long-term chart. But I think this has the potential to go on a nice little run. So we'll see what happens. This is just one that I would be momentum trading, you know, looking for high of day breaks, hopping in or getting in on good dip buying opportunities, maybe washout longs. If you don't know what a washout long is, it's when it's spiking up a ton and then it tanks really quickly. You get in right at the bottom and sell 5 seconds later because it pops back up, if that makes sense. That is how I define a washout long. PLNHF, this is one that I really like for kind of the long term. They have the Planet 13's holding. They have their big location in Vegas. I think they have their new location opening soon in Santa Ana, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it already opened. And it seems to be showing some pretty good support around that $5 area. You know, it hasn't broke down. Again, I bought in at $3.30 and I sold here on the day that it was the highest, and it hasn't broken that since. So I think it's a decent swing trade at this point. You know, if it holds up this support in this area, I would not hold this if it broke down under $5 because, you know, it could go down to 4 easily if it breaks under 5. But assuming it holds above that, you know, buying near this 5 support area seems like a decent investment to me, or once it breaks out officially over that 640 mark. So Obviously, better entry is at a lower price. So if you want to swing trade this, consider getting in here and having your risk at that $5 area. SLV, this is one that I've heard a lot about on Reddit. Again, I don't know that this one, I think it's an ETF. I don't think that it really has that potential to go from $25 to $1,000. I personally doubt it. I really do. But I just want to put on your guys' radar so that you're watching it, in case it starts seeing some crazy movement. I mean, I guess it could happen. I mean, the max this thing ever was not even $50. So if it saw 1,000, I would personally be very surprised. Not looking like there's enough volatility to day trade this thing. Definitely very choppy. So I personally will not be touching this. But I just want, put on your radars. Maybe we get a nice squeeze out of this as well, like GME. And then obviously the last stock, TSNP, one of my favorite stocks of all time. I day traded a little bit on Friday, but not really any A-grade setups for me. It was kind of hard to get entry on some of these pops. They happen very, very quickly. And just overall, kind of tough to trade. Whole cent breakouts are decent on this one as well, but still pretty difficult. So a lot of people buying and holding on this stock, which makes it a little bit more difficult to day trade. So we'll see what happens. Again, it's not at the point where I'm willing to buy and hold this stock because I think it could go under 30 cents. So that's just me personally. I'm willing to miss out. This could easily bounce off of this area and break past 50 cents and continue to run to $1 or more. I'm fine with that. I'm not fine buying at this price and then having it go down to 25 cents on me. That is what I'm not okay with. So if it breaks under, I would be very happy. I would love to see this under 30 cents for a better entry. But until that point, I'm just going to be looking to trade those intraday swings. And yeah, that is it for this video, guys. This is a long video, so hopefully you made it to the end. There's probably, I'm going to say 4% of you guys. So if you made it to the end, you the real homie. I appreciate you. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the Discord. And yeah, until then, let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.